Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. It's time for Versus. Today on the show, Snow White collapses at the box office, beat by a working man. We will get into it, plus tons of news stories, a surprise trailer, a fairy tale. That's right, a fairy tale story that will be out later in April. I think we all need to be aware of. Plus your comments, questions, chat, comments and questions, and Alan Ing and the whole gang are here. So let's get going. Let's start the show. Let's go. No, I meant this one. Hey, everybody. It's
hey, Chris.
Monday. It's a Monday before CinemaCon. I haven't even packed. We're doing a road stream tomorrow. Is that our first one, Alan?
Yeah, together in the same car.
Yes, our first road stream. We're doing it, but I'm excited. We have great topics today. Everybody, introduce yourselves. I'm happy you're all here. Let's go.
Where's Robert Meyer Burnett? He said Snow White was going to make over 500 million. Everyone was going to go see it. Robert, where are you? It's his birthday. That's right.
I watched this. I actually watched A Working Man, but I found this while I was there, and it actually comes apart.
Oh my
and
God!
You have the Evil Queen.
Yay!
Love it. Let's
Evil,
go.
evil.
That's awesome.
Saying.
I'm not a settler. I was born here against my will.
What's happening, guys? Dante from Verbal Riot, and I can't get enough of Rachel Zegler. Just can't get enough of her.
All right. Oh, wait, one more.
Yeah,
person.
I know. Come on. I'm Alan Ing of Film Thread. I just need 105 more followers on X, and I hit 10,000. Just small favor. Just
wow.
Join. Look, annoying posts. I'm trolling everybody. Sarcasm clearly doesn't translate well on X, so there you go.
It looks so high definition.
Yeah, tune that's down to.
All right, so let's go and let's talk to. let's see who's here. Who's here? We have Jordan Rockwell, became a YouTube member. Check out our members only videos. Alan and I were at WonderCon. We have videos also from Credo 23. We ran into Justine Bateman as we were doing our video walking in. So there's other videos there. So check that out. Thank you for being a member.
She beat you up for all the AI trailers you make us watch?
Well, not really. No, we did not have that discussion.
You didn't tell her. Let's just put it that way.
Film Threat Fight Club, FTW says M for 2. And why don't you take this one, Badger?
Lord Thoth, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, sign up as a member, join us on X, Discord, Rumble, and Instagram, and buy our merch. ShopFilmThreat.com.
That's right. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. We have this shirt.
Oh,
Gary Beekler mentioned it on his nooner where he reads all the super chats. I found I couldn't. This is based on a tweet of mine, Make Marvel Mail Again. And I realized we never did that shirt. So now you can get it.
Yeah.
You can actually get this shirt. You pick the size, the color, and your favorite design. But check out our superhero style collection for a limited time. All right. Let's get into it. Box office. Let's go. Alan, this is the second weekend. This is the second weekend for Snow White. And if you give us the numbers, but I'll tell you this is crazy. The second weekend for Disney's Snow White.
Is it up there, by the way? Is it?
Yeah, it loaded.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, good. I put up another story, but this is insane. A Jason Statham movie in 1,000 fewer theaters. 1,000 fewer theaters was number one with 15.5 million. Disney's Snow White dropped to number two its second weekend, a 66% drop off 14.2 million. The Chosen, The Last Supper, Part 1, 11 million as a Fathom Events in 2,400 screens. A Woman in the Yard, the Woman in the Yard horror film that I saw that was not great, made 9.3 million. I'll bet it made profits. Death of a New Unicorn at number 5, 5.7 million. Princess Mononoke in limited release in only 330 theaters is number 6. That's a re-release, made 3.8 million. Crazy. Captain America hanging in there with number 7 at 2.8 million. Black Bag number 8, around 2.2 million. Alan, rounding out the 9 and 10 is what?
It's Mickey 17 and Novocaine
with a couple million apiece. Scroll back up if you would for those numbers and those percentages. Opinions, folks. Is this utterly predictable? I didn't know that it would go this badly.
I was told Disney was going to blow everyone out of the water, that no one pays attention to us. No one knows about the Rachel Zegler. It's Disney and families, and all they know is Snow White. What the hell happened?
Yeah, well, it's I mean, this is a shocking fall, if you ask me. And I'll put up my story here, Alan. I've got another story here from the Hollywood Reporter. So this is now look, I actually held out hope because who knows what the public does, right?
Yeah. Look at Mufasa.
Well, Mufasa was terrible. The Mufasa Effect. That movie was awful, and yet it was in the top 10 up until a few weeks ago. And it did very well, which was walk-up business, just people going to see a movie. And I thought maybe walk-up business or families could have saved Snow White, but that did not happen. It's the story. So yeah, I want to get everyone's opinion.
Yeah, but Snow White, just to give perspective, Snow White. Sorry, I'll just say Snow White. It was either going to perform like Mufasa or the Marvels, and it's performing like the Marvels.
Worse than the Marvels. Yeah.
Sorry, Steph, you were about to say.
Go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, no, I was going to say Rachel Zegler really hurt this film. The fact that that story went as mainstream as it did, outside of just people reporting on the news on YouTube, like it went super mainstream. And when that happened was when she attacked Trump supporters. Like that happened. That's when it went super mainstream outside of our purview, because like even my mom, who doesn't pay attention to any of this stuff, knew about what was going on with Rachel Zegler and all of the Snow White drama. That's how mainstream it went. So like the fact that so many people were just like, I'm not going to go and support it. I don't support this actress. I don't support what she represents. But that's on top of people already like not wanting to go and see Disney remakes of the Disney princesses. People gave The Little Mermaid a chance and they ended up changing the story completely. So when this went mainstream, people heard about how they were changing the story again, and they're like, I don't want to waste my money on that. A working man beating Snow White, like that's actually not surprising, right? Because this is another film with Jason Statham and David Ayer directing. It's another film that was made on a $40 million budget and
written by Chuck Dixon.
Yeah, and The Beekeeper, that was a movie with Jason Statham with David Ayer directing, also on a $40 million budget. And like the first weekend it made 16.5 million. It actually went on to gross worldwide like 160 million or something like that. So that's made on a $40 million budget. So Working Man could potentially be more successful. I'm not saying like it's going to be more successful in terms of like where they end up worldwide, but in terms of like the Beekeeper being more successful in making money, kind of, or not the Beekeeper, a working man being
same movie.
Yeah.
I call it the
go
DeWalt
and see
Keeper.
this, and it's in theater for a little while. It could be another Beekeeper movie in that it actually is successful because it was just made on a $40 million budget. People want to go and see these types of movies, which is why they do so well. Whereas like people don't want to go and see a Disney princess changed, made for the modern era, turned into a girl boss, speaking down to men, trying to teach you, the audience members, a lesson or something. We're tired of that. And I think that the Snow White failing and collapsing as bad as it did is representative of that.
I just want to know, are you calling me a purview?
What?
You mentioned purview
I
earlier, and I'm just wondering whether you just called me a purview.
Purview
Oh, no.
AF.
Did you just have a meeting with your parole officer?
Yes.
I'm gonna go a step further. I honestly don't think it's about even Rachel Zegler's wretched behavior, man. I at least when it comes to the box office. I mean, I think that obviously it played a part for sure. I just don't think she's a draw. I don't think America sees her as a draw. She's not a reason to go to the theater. Even if she never said all that shit, I don't think Rachel Zegler and let's be honest, Gal Gadot either. They're not a box office draw.
She's not a leading lady.
People went to see Wonder Woman because of Wonder Woman, not because of Gal Gadot, right? Yeah. So they just weren't a draw. And then you're taking a story that everybody already knows, the story that's been done 1,000 times on film that we've already seen, not just from Disney, but from other studios. This movie never had legs. It never had legs. Even if they cast real little people instead of those horrible CG dwarves, this movie would not have made a lot of money.
She's a horrible Snow White. Like, I finally went to watch it Thursday.
I'm not saying she's not a problem. She is a big problem. My thing is though, even at its best, it wasn't going to open.
Yeah, let me tell you, my teen daughter, same reaction from her and her friends as the Marvels. They saw the trailer and said, "This looks lame." And I think that has to do with it. It's just a bad movie, and the trailers didn't do anything to help it. Didn't do anything to draw people into it. And I think
no charisma
because they knew it was bad.
Well, no, she is a problem. She is a problem for sure.
I think the whole movie is a problem.
The movie was going to fail no matter what.
Well, like, is Halle Bailey? I mean, is she a box office draw? More people did go and support and see The Little Mermaid. It's not.
You know why though? Steph?
Earlier in the timeline,
because of The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid has more fans than Snow White has. If we're being really honest.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So then you have, this actress who's problematic, who's not a big box office draw, with another actress who a lot of people just meme on and say that she can't act, who's not a real box office draw. And then you have the princess who is the very first princess for Walt Disney and the very first story or the very first animation that Walt Disney put out. But on the popularity on the Disney princess scale, she's not up there. So there was so much going against this movie.
Right. And you also have to remember, we've never had a live action Little Mermaid. We've had tons of live action Snow Whites. So a lot of people went to watch Little Mermaid purely out of curiosity because we've never had a live action.
Right.
And notwithstanding the skin color issue, she's a very charming actress.
I did not find her charming. Yeah. I found her to exude zero sexuality, zero charm.
I'm talking about
the Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
Also,
the Little Mermaid had
my apologies
there. In it,
my bad.
Except for the Aquafina song. We love the music from the Little Mermaid. They gave us the music from the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
You have that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it was reasonably successful, like nearly $500 million. Now, I want you to, like, if we're talking Snow White, we should also put it into perspective. Did it beat the Snow White and the Huntsman? Did Snow White and the Huntsman do better than this Snow White?
Alan's looking it up right now.
I can tell
that's a good question, considering that Snow White and the Huntsman was a better movie.
Nearly $400 million worldwide for Snow White and the Huntsman. So it's not like the idea of Snow White is tapped out. It's just that Disney doesn't know how to do it.
Right. I guess if you look at it like the Snow White and the Huntsman did something very different than the other.
Yeah, they had 3 stars in it. They had 3 stars.
Well, they made it more of an action movie, and they kind of changed a lot of things about it, which made it a little bit more interesting than the regular Snow White story.
Bro, but it was Kristen Stewart, who everyone makes fun of. But guess what? Her skin was white as snow. And apparently one of the biggest turnoffs to the international audience is that they take one look at Zegler and go, oh, this is Western DEI shit. And they ignore it. And then if you do go watch it, you find out she has no charisma. The songs aren't good. Like, I got forced to go see Wicked, and I ended up liking it because the songs and the acting was good. There's none of that here. There's no redeeming qualities.
Yeah, Steph,
nothing to
Steph, you liked Wicked, right?
I loved Wicked. Yeah. And they didn't change much about Wicked. They had the songs in there. And I totally agree that, like, with the Little Mermaid live action movie, you know, the songs that we love from the Little Mermaid were included in the song, or I'm sorry, were included in the movie. In Snow White, there was a reason why a lot of people weren't really attaching themselves to this Waiting on a Wish song that Rachel Zegler was singing everywhere to promote Snow White. It was a brand new song. There's no connection there. You know, there's nothing to that song. That's not a song. That's a new song from Snow White. Sing something that people are familiar with. You know, if you want to bait us with nostalgia, you're not going to do it with that brand new song because nobody knows it. Whereas Halle Bailey, I still don't know what her name is.
Halle Bailey.
Halle Bailey. She was, you know, singing a part of your world, you know, in her own way. They kind of, you know, updated it and made it really beautiful, and she sang it beautifully. You know, this new song, there's no connection there to Snow White. None.
Hey, I threw this up here just to pose this question, but you could see the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs number. Does Snow White have a chance to beat the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs?
Not a chance. Are those adjusted for inflation?
No, they're not. This
my God.
DVD sales, and you know,
that's got to be $1 billion.
Well, it's $2.2 billion adjusted for inflation, but it also includes the 6 or 7 replays.
Re-releases.
Yeah, re-releases, and probably the DVD
Disney
sales.
would be better off re-releasing their back catalog rather than making new movies. I'm serious. These look, even the best of these live action remakes are just meh to, I guess they did that. I mean, even I'm not sure how many of the part 2, because there is a Lion King 2 animated, Aladdin 2. Remember
straight to DVD.
Yeah,
the straight to DVD.
I think there's 3 Aladdin.
Straight to video, actually.
There's a Little Mermaid 2 with black mermaids in it, but they didn't do that one. Yeah.
I mean, those actually, some of those stories are worthwhile, even though it was a clear cash grab, but they would sell them at grocery stores. My kids were young in the 90s. It was impossible not to, you know, you've got to get this, Dad.
The Disney Vault, Dad, it's going to go away. We have to get it now.
As an experiment, how do you think a Disney movie would do a wide re-release? Maybe there's new content. Like when you go to the Fathom events, a lot of times they will do a mini documentary and they'll hire someone like Leonard Maltin or someone to put it into historical context and do a brief documentary. They did it with Coraline. They did it with other movies, Nightmare Before Christmas, and they do a little short thing so you get bonus content. They even had something after the credits. It's great. It's great because there is a whole, I saw The Dark Knight, right? The Dark Knight 2008. I'm sitting in a crowd with a bunch of young people, and they were too young to see The Dark Knight in a theater in 2008, and they were there to see it. It was amazing. So perhaps Hollywood needs to take more seriously re-releasing back catalog. Think of what they could do. And also restorations, a restoration of Snow White. Don't change the movie, just enhance the sound and color and you know.
Hey, you know something? My daughter brought home a bunch of her 12-year-old chums to our house, and I put on The Gold Rush, the silent movie with Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, wow.
And the girls went, "Oh, black and white. Oh, it's silent." And they shut up and they watched the whole thing and started howling with laughter. So I wouldn't necessarily reissue that, but I think there's hope for the youth. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they know good stories when they see it.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Show them The General with Buster Keaton.
Oh my God. One of my favorite.
Many times.
Me too. One of the best films of all time.
Let's go to comments here, Badger, if you would.
Pilgrim Media for 2. Follow Mr. Ing.
And we got a bunch of new members.
And he became a member himself. Shout out. Mad About Hatter became a member. Mad About Hatter gifting 5 Film Threat memberships. Robot Dues for 5. I largely agree with Steph, but they also changed lyrics in Little Mermaid. And don't forget that terrible Aquafina song.
Ugh. Yeah, that
still
was
better than Snow White.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The main
songs
song
were
they
still
kept.
familiar, except for that Aquafina song that was terrible.
Yeah.
Made my ears bleed.
Pilgrim Media for 2. We went to Fantasia 2000 on Microdot.
Oh, well, there you are then. We are going to pivot for a second, and we have a treat. Well, I have a treat for you. There is a movie coming out later in April that is a retelling of a classic fairy tale. That's right, the story of Cinderella, but it focuses on one of the ugly stepsisters.
Ooh.
It is part comedy, part horror. It's an accurate telling of Cinderella. It's also a Swedish film. It's a Swedish film. So I have the trailer right here. If Disney were smart, rather than doing a straight remake of a Snow White or Cinderella, why couldn't they come up with some other angle, like say Wicked did, and looked at the reverse of the story, or focused on a different character? And this film, which I watched last night, entered. Alan and I will both review this later in the month, but I want to put this on your radar. And if you know horror, it's coming from Shudder. I wouldn't say it's fully horror, but it is definitely leaning into comedy. So let's watch this 2-minute trailer together.
Oh, nice.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going crazy. I've lost my mind. Best friend insanity.
Oh my goodness.
I've lost my mind. I'm going crazy. I've lost my mind.
Oh, that's in the book.
Oh
at
my
least.
goodness.
Gotta fit in the slipper.
I'm in.
Yeah.
They showed too much.
This was the most talked about film coming out of Sundance.
Yeah, I agree. They did show too much, but
I've seen enough. Yeah, I don't need to see the movie now. I saw enough. Yeah,
I've seen it. It's great. The woman who plays the ugly stepsister, her name is Elvira, is amazing. Cinderella, you learn things about Cinderella, but she might be kind of a slut. It's fun. It's not for kids. I mean, it's not as gory as they show it there. There are a lot of funny things that happen, and you really feel for she just won, and it's about they all want to win the love of the prince, and mostly for economic reasons, because they're all broke. They don't have money. So that's the motivation, is really to get the prince. Otherwise, they'll live as paupers the rest of their life. So I've seen the film. I can't wait for Alan to see it.
I'm not seeing it.
You're definitely seeing it. No, Alan, I will make you see it. You're seeing.
Force him.
It's very fun film. But why couldn't Disney? My point in showing this, whether you like that trailer or not, fine. We all have our own different tastes. Why couldn't Disney get more creative?
Oh, they did though, Alan. They gave us Maleficent. Like, I don't want them. I don't trust them to be creative.
But
that's true.
Look, I feel
and the 101 Dalmatian thing
Cruella.
This terrible.
That was when they were in their era of making us sympathize with villains, and a lot of people didn't like that. Villains should be villains.
I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with that. Yeah. But this is this ugly stepsister. Really, she's a villain by circumstance. And so and also all these fairy tales, Disney doesn't own them.
No,
they do not own these fairy tales. Now they own Disney's Snow White, sure, that interpretation, whatnot. And there's another movie coming out later this month that Alan will also watch called The Death of Snow White. We saw the trailer.
Yeah, I'll see that one, but I'm like,
yeah, well, why? Because there's nudity. There's
by the way, nudity in this one.
There is nudity in this one.
Is it?
There is
say less.
There is a. I don't want to say any more about it. I'm saying I recommend it, but I want Alan to see it. We'll give it a proper review. But it's worth putting on your radar because you can't just, if you live your life only seeing Disney, only seeing Pixar or Star Wars or Marvel, you would get depressed because most of it is garbage. And it's our duty to report on it. If you balance watching these big movies with some small indie movies, maybe a Swedish, Cinderella story, it kind of balances out your diet.
You know what that trailer showed though was the European sensibilities and how they understand the European continental folklore and stories better than we do.
Precisely.
You just saw that in the trailer on how they could manipulate it in a way that was in the context of, a history that spans 800 years and the crappy things they did to each other as human beings, which we don't understand here because our countries are so new, right? But I could totally get that, which is one of the reasons I love Stanislaw Lem as a science fiction writer over a lot of the North American writers, because he has that brutal Europe, that behind the Iron Curtain irony and sarcasm that he puts into his science fiction that we could never do, apart from Vonnegut. Vonnegut was the closest person who could do that in North America. So I love the European sensibilities when they take their own stories and do things with them. And then the trailer really shows that.
Look, in spite of my name, I'm not a big fan of Gore. Although
me neither.
One of my favorite movies last year was The Substance because it has a lot more to say. This film is similar in that it has a lot more to say than what's on the surface.
Does it have gore?
It does have some gore, not even close to The Substance.
Oh, okay.
The similar thing of standards of beauty, how women are judged. And I think it's also entertaining, as well.
But there's a way to do it right, man, because me and you saw that movie last week, Freaky Tales, and they handled the gore pretty well in that.
We'll be reviewing that. I think
that was an excellent movie, by the way.
This week, yeah, Freaky Tales.
Go see it when it comes out.
I'm all for normal movies too.
All right, Alan, I get it. Hey, Star Wars. Here we go.
By the way, I just wanted to show you Disney's limited edition gold, never going to be re-released. No, I bought into that.
Throw those up. I love those. Oh, yeah, love it.
Never to be released again. You're gonna have.
You bought them yesterday, right?
Yeah. Beta. They're all beta.
Let's talk about Star Wars. I did not think we'd be talking about this. I also happen to be a fan of John Boyega.
He's so scrambling.
Very good. He's been very good in some small indie movies, Attack the Block among them. And he said something here. It's from Variety. John Boyega says Star Wars is so white that a black person existing in it is a big deal. Toxic fans are okay with us playing the friend, but we can't touch their heroes. Now, considering we thought he was going to be a Jedi in the trailer. And let me say something about characters in Star Wars. Look, it's a very diverse universe. There's humans and there's all kinds of aliens and droids. And we've seen prominent black characters, Lando Calrissian, a rogue, a pirate,
That's like pointing out the chocolate chips in the cookie, Chris. That's literally what he said. It's so embarrassing.
But he's the administrator of a city, ran a city. We saw Sam Jackson as Mace Windu, very a Jedi, very powerful Jedi master on the Jedi Council. But when it came to Boyega, and I know this is not his fault, J.J. Abrams friend zones him in the first movie when there's an implied romance, and then makes him a janitor. Look, I blame JJ for this. Boyega has nothing to do with it. I thought the concept of a stormtrooper that had been trained from being a child to break the programming was an interesting character we'd never seen in the Star Wars universe. More interesting, say, than the journey of a Jedi. They robbed John Boyega of what could have been a great character arc. But
Ryan Johnson did that, to be fair.
Yeah,
JJ set up the romance and the force sensitivity, and Ryan Johnson skipped right over that, and then JJ had to double down on the third one.
I blame JJ for that first movie, and there was no recovering from that. There was nothing you could do. But if you would give, I believe you have a synopsis of the story.
I do actually, yeah.
Yeah, if you would read this for us.
John Boyega says Star Wars is so white. John Boyega, known for his role as Finn in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, has once again spoken out about the franchise's lack of diversity. In the Apple TV Plus documentary, #1 on the call sheet, Black Leading Men in Hollywood, Boyega called Star Wars so white, criticizing how Black actors are treated in the franchise. He pointed out that while characters like Lando Calrissian and Mace Windu exist, their presence feels like an afterthought rather than a genuine representation. I almost made a video about it, but he just pissed me off. In the article, he represents, people just say Mace and Lando, and he's like, that's like pointing out the chocolate chips on a cookie, meaning they're like, anyway.
Sorry, Bad.
No,
I have a quick comment after you're done.
One of Boyega's main grievances is how Star Wars fans react negatively when Black actors take on leading roles, often accusing the franchise of pandering. He experienced racist backlash after his casting as Finn, while some fans unable to accept a Black hero in the saga. Proof.
Who didn't? Who didn't like him?
Prove it.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have to defend him on that, because I remember going to his page and I saw some crazy shit.
Okay.
Man. People were not
Dante,
happy.
most of it.
A lot of people thought that they thought he was going to be a Black Jedi, and they said a lot of fucked up shit. Now, here's the thing:
a stormtrooper helmet off, and they thought stormtroopers were clones, and that was the main source.
Well, no. I'm not talking about continuity errors, Badger. I'm talking about like some straight racist shit. But here's the thing: that aside, right? I have two questions about all of this. Number one, when did he actually say all this? Because I don't trust Variety. He could have said this like 10 years ago, and they're bringing this shit up now. So I don't trust Variety at all, right?
He said this recently in the promotion of this Apple TV Plus series.
Okay, so I guess my thing is, why now? Like, why bring this up now? Is the weird thing for me.
Yeah, because the documentary he's in brings it up.
Yeah,
can I read that again? #1 on the call sheet, Black Leading Men in Hollywood. That's the name of the documentary. So he's specifically talking about his experience as a Black leading man. It's not the first time he's talked about it. This is the last part. This is not the first time Boyega has criticized Star Wars for its handling of diversity. 2020 GQ interview, he accused Disney of sidelining his character despite marketing him as a major figure. He noted that while white leads like Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver were given more depth and development, his character was neglected. Boyega later had an open conversation with the Disney executive about these issues, hoping that his transparency would create opportunities.
By the way, let me just add this. He's right.
Yeah, he is.
They did do that. He's right. In fact,
completely agree.
The Rise of Skywalker, a movie I saw all of one time. He's screaming Rey, Rey, Rey. Was he trying to yell to her? They never paid off what he was trying to say to Rey. What he was trying to say, and J.J. Abrams even admitted they forgot to leave in the line where he basically was trying to tell Rey that he is force sensitive. He can feel the force. But the line was
I won't say they forgot. They just left it out.
They did leave it out for whatever reason. I know that JJ was working on it up until the week before. It's kind of embarrassing.
The three movies have three different fins.
Sorry, one at a time, everyone.
Yeah, let me comment on something that Badger just read, because it's kind of a reread quote. But But Boyega said, "You guys know what to do with Daisy Ridley. You know what to do with Adam Driver. But when it came to Kelly Marie Tran, when it came to John Boyega, you know fuck all." He drops Kelly Marie Tran's name like she was just a grain of rice.
Oh,
jeez.
Alan, all that for a joke?
But it's true. I mean, I'm reading this. Let's be real. There have been more black actors in Star Wars than there have been Asians. Before Kelly Marie Tran, the only Asian in Star Wars was Newt Gunray.
Oh, God damn it! You made it yourself.
What about Yin Nub?
No, Nick Gunray.
Oh yeah, Nub.
So do you think it's suspect an attack?
But this is my whole point. It's this fight over. Oh, I'm not being seen. I'm not being seen. We all fall into our tribes. We all say, well, my tribe's not been seen. My tribe's not been seen. And to me, it just becomes so annoying.
But I think he is fundamentally right. Number one, number one, there is a tendency to make the black guy the head of the
stupid buddy.
No, that or the head of the police department, but never the lead.
Right.
And so
not the guy doing shit.
So there's a couple things here. Number one, this was a movie by a white guy who was riffing on an old white adventure story, Flash Gordon. Yeah. And so let him do what he fuck all wants with what he knows and what he's comfortable with. People should be making different products based on what it is that they know and what they want, to convey, and hopefully they find an audience for it. So no one should be pilloried for being white and doing what it is that they know. Now, that being said, the J.J. Abrams movie really started Star Wars on a terrible path. I actually thought that the idea of John Boyega, his character, was pretty good. I had imagined that because the Empire had been decimated, that they actually had to, create drugged, mind-controlled people from other planets to become part of their new minions. And I thought, whoa, maybe John Boyega's character Finn is someone who's now breaking away from the mind control, the religion that they were steeped in to be stormtroopers, and he was finding his own way out of it, sort of like leaving Scientology. I actually thought that was going to be the new stormtroopers, that they were going to be kind of Scientology minions. And I thought, oh, this is really interesting. But then the second movie, they didn't know what to do with him. And then the third movie,
Apprentice.
And then the third movie, he's pining for Rey, and he's saying the most embarrassing things on the planet. He's right. They didn't know what to do with him, but I don't think it was on purpose. I think it was because they were incompetent.
Exactly. Well, my issue isn't so much the fact that he's saying this. My thing is like, look, I get it, man. Like, you might have experienced some shit. And look, we're talking about the internet. People are going to be assholes no matter what. They're going to say things, even racist things sometimes. But to blame the entire fan base, to say that
was wrong.
To say that the fans are wrong, the fans are the problem, when clearly the problem was Disney. Clearly the problem was the studio, not the fans. But yeah, I that part I don't get behind. I don't get behind that part of it.
I think the studios would really wish to not have to deal with fans.
I think that this article is really deceiving because it's setting it up as if he's saying all of this to the fans. He's talking about Lucasfilm. He's talking about Star Wars, about what they did to his character in Star Wars. And the article is setting it up as if he's blaming the fans for all of these poor decisions, and that the fans are just okay with having Lando Calrissian and Samuel L. Jackson. But because like the only time that this article talks about racist and toxic Star Wars fans was when they're saying that the fans were upset with the black actor for playing a lead hero, when in actuality, like, yes, there are some assholes on the internet who will say racist shit, to this actor, but the majority of the Star Wars fans were actually rooting for him to do really well. They were rooting for him to have a good story. They wanted him to become a Jedi because that's how it was marketed, and people were really mad at this pivot, and then later on learning that there was actually no plan in place, right? J.J. Abrams set it up, Rian Johnson came in and shit all over it, and then J.J. Abrams had to do his best to fix what Rian Johnson came in and broke. So a lot of people were mad that John Boyega's Finn got the short end of the stick and nothing really happened with his character. And for this article to really frame it as if, oh, toxic fans are okay with us just playing the friend, we can't touch their heroes. That's not true. Like, that's not what he's saying at all. He's calling out Disney. He's calling out Star Wars for bringing him in, marketing
Steph,
the
he
film.
did talk shit about us, though. He directly was talking about Star Wars fan. He said, you can always tell it's something when some Star Wars fans try to say, well, we had Lando Calrissian, well, we had Samuel L. Jackson. So yeah, I defended it too, but he is saying that we were accepting two actors.
He is saying that Disney set up his character and marketed his character as if he is going to be like the hero of this franchise. And then that just never happened.
Yeah, JJ very clearly set him up to be a Jedi and a romantic interest.
But he got that Disney didn't give us any more black characters.
Because they shrunk him on the China poster.
And behind John Boyega, right? But besides, in comes all of these other characters. And yes, they were in there for forced DEI purposes. And that's why people were calling it out. It's not just, oh, they're black, so because they're black, we're calling it out. No, they were brought in specifically for DEI purposes, right? So like, that's why it's being called out by people, because we know why Disney is doing this to these, bringing in these black characters. And on top of that, they're not even giving us good stories, like good Star Wars on top of that. So yeah, he's saying that like, oh, well, we are like Star Wars fans try to say, well, we had Lando and we had Samuel L. Jackson. Like, those are literally the only black characters that we have. And that's just saying like, well, we do have these great characters. We wanted John Boyega to be amongst those great characters, and Disney literally gave him the short end of the stick.
Well, it's also unfortunate that
this character.
It was unfortunate that all this came out when Disney was committed to ugly women syndrome. And listen, sorry, I shouldn't say that about trans. I mean, that the thing is, a cute woman who was stuck in 1960s gym bloomers, and I went, why is Boyega falling for this chunky chicken bloomers? Like, I didn't care what race she was. Like, put it like, make it a hot woman. I mean, for crying out loud. I was tired of this. This was like just so stupid.
I just think, look, man, for any actor in Hollywood right now, they got to be careful with these people from the media. They got to be careful with these so-called journalists, right? They're going to try to get their sound bites. They're going to try to make you say something and twist it out of context. Because here's the thing, I can't even be upset with any of this because I literally don't know the real context of which any of this is really happening at all. And I don't trust Variety at all. They are the timing of this is untrustworthy rag in Hollywood.
The timing of this is not great. Like, why dredge this all up now?
That's what I'm saying. I don't trust Variety.
They don't want to hear that, Alan. The documentary is about black leading men in Hollywood and how they're treated. So he's bringing up how he was treated. That's the context.
Yeah, that's the context of it.
Yeah.
He's promoting a documentary, and so they had to dredge everything back up again.
JJ very clearly set him up to be the lead and the romantic interest for Rey. And whether China is racist and doesn't want a black man, which is why they shrunk him and do all the things they do, or Tracking just didn't want Rey and him to hook up. They changed it to the Adam Driver role, and the two white people got shipped, and that failed too. Is that racism, or is that just because people didn't like Rey and Finn together? I don't know, but he's not helping at all with this.
In China,
there were more black characters, just Calrissian and Mace Windu, and he's suggesting that we were all right with the two tokens. And no. Jolie Bindu, many others. I'm sorry they didn't get time on movies, but 30,000 years worth of lore. In the context of the Star Wars, there's 30,000 years worth of lore.
Yeah. Let's go to comments here, and we've got lots of topics to go.
Naveen for 100. They re-released Studio Ghibli's Princess Mononoke in IMAX last week, and it was beautiful. That's what Disney should do.
Agreed. Re-release the classics, present in a new context, do a modern trailer, respect the legacy, and re-release the old library. They could make a fortune. Alan, you are a big Disney fan. You've been to the museums. You've taken classes. You know all this stuff.
I went to Disney adult camp.
Disney adult camp for adults. Wouldn't those do great?
They will do today. They would do great. Let's put it that way. There's probably a reason they didn't do great in the past, but with the schlock they're putting out now, the classics would do great in the theaters.
Literally just put Aladdin out, and I'd like to see. Look,
Put
there
Little
are
Mermaid out. Put Beauty and the
there's
Beast
a
out.
generation of kids who haven't seen these movies on the big screen. Now, sure, they got Disney Plus. That would be an interesting experiment. So there you go.
Well, my daughter just watched. My daughter just watched Pocahontas on Disney Plus, and she said this is such an underrated movie.
Wow. Lasseter was the one who introduced Studio Ghibli to North America, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he loves this. And I think they should do a black version of Totoro.
Hey, Max Drummer, we met Max Drummer. It says it was good to meet Alan and Chris at WonderCon. Yes, we were at the panel. Thank you so much. You had an amazing cosplay there.
Some nice Guy Gardner cosplay.
It was fantastic and a better haircut.
Yeah, why didn't James Mann look like that? Pilgrim Media for 2. Mr. Chato, I am a big fan of your Hackintosh years.
Yes. Ooh. Back for 6 years, I built Hackintoshes and made videos on them.
That's great.
Mason C gave $2.99 Canadian. Shout out.
Thank you.
Jean Hugh for 742. I just wish there was better advertising when they do re-release old movies. Yeah, I often find one with a single showing on a Wednesday and it's too late. Aren't there like major re-releases and then there's just theater specific?
It's Fathom Events. They'll do it they have it's every week, but it's on odd showtimes, like on Tuesdays, so they'll find they get limited dates. So you have to get the tickets. They just re-released The Goonies, they do this. So I get their newsletter. I get the newsletter. I buy tickets. I go to these things to see movies that I've not seen on the big screen. They're great.
REG for 2. Force Awakened, except for Boyega.
True.
He really was shafted in those movies.
He was.
Yes.
Norm Alman for 10. I wished Finn was the MC of the sequels.
He should have been. They set him up and it was not great.
K Manifesto for 5. Another great versus panel. Thanks for the entertainment.
Where?
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
We're on right now. Rudy for 2. Boyega sunk. Yeah, Bodega, but I think Boyega sunk the Pacific Rim sequel. He's not a star.
Yeah, he was not great in that, unfortunately. But I think the movie wasn't great either.
No, it wasn't.
The sequel.
No Idris and Snapaggy for $6.99 Canadian. Test the theory. Oh no. Could Revan be played by a black man? I think so. He could. Actually,
how is he described?
He's not described. It's up to the player. But then in the books, he was canonly a male, and then based on he's white based on all other basic factors, basically, and the descendants. But the exile is a female. Mitra Surik, that could totally maybe be a black woman. I don't know. Even though she's described as having white hair. Andrew, too much. Don't know my times tables, but I know Star Wars. Andrew Cram gifted 10 Film Threat memberships.
Thank you, Andrew. Always appreciate your support. Now, Helen Mirren has come out and said she doesn't want to see a female James Bond. Well, I think that almost everyone would agree with her. So James Bond, of course, going through some changes in terms of who is shepherding the IP over at Amazon Studios. From Variety, Helen Mirren doesn't want to see a female James Bond. The character is drenched and born out of profound sexism. We'll get the synopsis. This is from J. Kim.
I don't want to see a female Q.
Well,
but you have.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
Let's if you would, Badger.
Yeah. As Amazon MGM prepares to reboot the James Bond franchise, David Heyman and Amy Pascal, Helen Mirren has voiced her long-standing dislike for the series, criticizing its portrayal of women as sexist and outdated. While Hollywood has debated casting a female Bond, Mirren rejects the idea, arguing that the character's history is inherently rooted in sexism and advocating instead for real stories about courageous women in espionage. Meanwhile, The James Bond franchise is undergoing a major shift, with Amazon MGM taking creative control from longtime producers Barbara Piccoli and Michael G. Wilson.
Look, we've been talking about James Bond has been in the news. There's talk of recasting. Obviously, they have to recast after Daniel Craig exited the role and died. His version of James Bond died. Sorry, spoilers. I like that. I mean, like, look, all those snarky lines from James Bond. How do you do them and not be somewhat sexist? It's entertaining. Maybe it's of an era. Maybe it should be a period film set in the 60s. I don't know. But I just think that a female anything. We just did a video. I showed video of John Carpenter at the Academy Museum during a screening of The Thing in 4K. He addressed that the people who own the IP for Escape from New York, want to do a female-led version. He didn't say he thought that was a bad idea. He did say, why can't Kurt Russell play him now? Like, why can't that just happen?
I thought he did say he didn't want a female version of that.
He didn't explicitly say that. He just said there's no reason. He didn't see a reason why Kurt Russell cannot play Snake Plissken. Kurt Russell does not want to reprise the role. Fine, whatever. But what do we think of this? And I'll just say this. I think Helen Mirren is based. And if you look up old photos of her, she's freaking hot.
She's one to talk about sexism.
You know what they should do is go back to the original Ian Fleming books, because they are way more sexist, way more misogynist, way more of their time. It would be much more interesting to examine those books within the context of their era. They're much more hardcore than the fluffy stuff that even the Sean Connery James Bond became.
Here's the question: if you produced a sexist James Bond movie today, would it make money?
Huge.
You know it would.
Yeah, I agree. Huge. Have sexy women in it. There's always the thing of Bond girls through history, right? And they're sexy. They have funny names.
Yeah, I mean, but they can't do that shit now. They can't have funny writer.
What if they did? What if
there's no one with the balls to do it? Just stop listening to the minority of idiots on social media. Don't listen to them. They do not represent the majority of people. And also, we can easily recognize, we know it's sexist. Okay, people don't act like that. It's for entertainment. Well, they don't act like that as much.
A lot of vagina.
As much.
Yeah, Pussy Galore, Honey Rider, Octopussy. I mean, a lot
of vagina.
Yeah, you probably can't do that anymore, but you know,
behave.
No, look, I agree with Helen Mirren, man. I think Helen Mirren is a Soviet era actress. Okay, like she's old school, man, and she's right. I mean,
she was sexist.
I don't know if sexism was the right word for her to use. Maybe misogyny might be a better word. Misogyny might be a better word than sexism. But she's right though. We don't need a female Bond, and I don't understand why any woman, right, would want to be a female Bond. Like, why wouldn't they want to be like their own thing? Like, why would they want to take on the mantle of something that's traditionally a man for like the past 50 years?
Well,
would there be a woman who want to be a Bond girl? I mean,
but there were women.
Well, Bond girl, yes, but not Bond.
Women were hugely important in the spy game back in the Ian Fleming days, but they gave their bodies away. They sexually compromised the enemy. They were in there, so to speak.
But see, but that goes back to what I said like a few weeks back, when I don't think James Bond works in the modern era. I think James Bond only works in a Cold War type era, man.
Totally agree.
So here's the thing: if they're going to continue to do James Bond anything, it needs to be a period piece. Like, they can't do modern James Bond, because modern James Bond doesn't work.
I don't know. He could have a villain that tries to cancel him midway through.
Well, we know Amy Pascal and David Heyman are going to do the next movie. So any chance they do anything that we would like, babe?
Look, I disagree. It wouldn't work. I think it would work. What if you know anything about Robert Eggers? when he writes his films like The Witch or Nosferatu, he writes the dialogue like the way people spoke and even acted back then. It's not just a period piece from the costumes and the wardrobe and the sets. He also makes the language. I mean, The Witch, you can understand almost everything that's said in context. However, that's how people spoke in that era, right? And it's a very different language. You can pick it up in context. It's fine. Why not just set something in the era authentic to that era? What is so hard about that? I think we all know, and you can look at period pieces. Look, I remember seeing movies from the 40s as a kid, black and white, film noir, and what I learned was the way to calm a woman down, it was very easy. Slap her around. You just slap her around.
Yeah,
everything is changed.
And that's my thing is
calm down.
I don't think James Bond was meant to be modernized, man. No. I think James Bond works perfectly in the era that he was in. And I think now just create something new. Create a new spy thing. Create a new spy character. Leave Bond where he needs to be.
Right.
No,
and
but
I also learned if you hold a woman's arms too tightly, she'll say, "Get your meat hooks off of me." I mean, look. No, people don't say that now, but like I find it's quaint. I knew when I was a kid that those film noir thrillers where they calmed women down by hitting them, I knew it was wrong when I was watching it as a kid. It was in context. It's like, oh, that's shocking, but
you know what works well today? Jason Bourne, stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Like that is our Bond of today is Jason Bourne. I don't think we need James Bond in this current era anymore.
Well, I think first of all, I disagree. I think be imaginative, but no one is stopping you from creating a female spy type character and creating something completely new.
But the problem for me is
like a Furiosa.
We know they're not going to give it to us, man. They're not going to give us the Bond we want. They know this.
Tried a female. It's called Citadel, and it's one of the reasons Pascal is now gone.
By the way, go back to that nerdrotic comment. Hey,
that
Gary,
nerdrotic guy.
What are we? Are we doing the nooner on Wednesday or what? Because Alan, we have to talk.
We're in Vegas.
He says, I totally disagree. That is surrender to modernity.
No, it's not. But here's the thing. It's either that or we risk them, again, giving us a James Bond we don't want or need or care for. So I'd rather them just let the character die with grace. Just leave him alone.
But my thing about whether Bond would work, it's the idea of if spies still exist in the world today, Bond will work.
They do. There's an elephant in the room. Wait a second. The biggest issue is Hollywood is no longer able to engage the right bad guy. They're afraid. The Chinese Communist Party should be a bad guy in a movie.
Yes.
They're scared. They are scared to death of having, like back in the day, we would have Russians. They're afraid of Russians now. Now they're Russian mobsters, or like the Maverick movie where they took the jets into the valley of some bad guy. We didn't really know who they were. Why can't they be Iranians? Nope. Can't do that.
After 9/11, you couldn't make your villain.
You can't have You can't have crazy ISIS Arabs. I think in some ways even Disney's embarrassed by what the first Iron Man did. Like that was right on the edge of what they might have been able to do, but they didn't do it since. We can't have our bad guys. We will never be attacking the Communist Party of China. And that's a great bad guy.
They won't give us the Bond that we know and love. So I'd rather them just not touch it at all. I'd rather them just move on to something else than continue to taint it. And they're going to. They're going to. They're not going to give us what we want.
Yeah, I mean, no bad, not writing a compelling bad guy and being afraid to do that on top of not being able to create, Bond as he is, with all of his faults, but all of his really good qualities as well. That would be considered toxic. So you can't do that.
We can't name the bad guys anymore.
But we also don't know that's totally true. If
the
whole issue was
so funny
Salky wanted to water him down and now she's gone, maybe he won't be watered down.
Yeah, it's so funny because if they did that correctly, like so many people would flock to the theaters to watch that movie. They would make so much money, but they won't do that.
But
you guys are
putting
a lot of trust and faith in Amazon for some reason.
I just watched
Amazon
Reacher season 3 where he was a Chad through the whole thing and beat the shit out of it. They clearly see it works. Jeff Bezos put out that poll. Salky's gone. Bro, I can't be black-pilled forever. I got to see some positive.
No, I'm not saying be black-pilled, man, but you're saying to trust Amazon. I'm not going to do that yet. They got to prove to me that they could do some shit.
I've got a treat for you. You may or may not know about the series. It's OSS 117. It's a French series of films about a super sexist spy character. It is a period piece. This is OSS 117 from Africa with Love. This was made in 2021. It's a quick trailer. Would you like to see this?
Sure.
Of course. All right. And there's other trailers. So I haven't seen this trailer. So we'll just go through quick.
Jody.
Oui, patron.
Appelez-moi 117. OSS 117. N'êtes-vous pas le meilleur? Je vous répondrais oui, ça serait de la prétention. Je vous répondrais non, ça serait de la bêtise. Hubert, que savez-vous de l'Afrique? Les Africains sont joyeux, sympathiques. Ils dansent bien. Très bonne analyse, Hubert. Nos amis rois du racisme partout.
Le président vous recevra à 16h.
Parfait. Le temps d'enfiler mon costume colonial. Blanc. Clair. Mon costume clair.
Dans quelques jours, je donne un bal présidentiel au palais pour fêter l'indépendance.
L'indépendance, oui. On m'a dit ça. OSS 117, je vous présente OSS 1001.
117, le vrai, l'unique, la légende.
Vous savez très bien que j'opère toujours en solo. Cette mission, vous allez me la mener tous les deux.
Les rebelles veulent balayer le président Bamba.
Sangawe Bamba est un ignoble dictateur. C'est pour ça que j'ai compte reprendre ce pays en main.
Il y a quand même un hic. Et un hic de taille. Vous êtes une femme. Et une femme présidente. Je suis agent secret, pas nourrice.
It's very Pink Panther-y.
T'as quiproquo. Tout est sous contrôle. T'es un peu fatigué, mais enfin, il va se ressaisir.
Pas mal, non? Et là, il a poussé sur l'air. Ah oui, bah si c'est un plan, il va falloir qu'il me l'explique. J'ai un peu de mal à saisir la stratégie.
Mr. Bean.
Chaque espèce, la plus dangereuse soit-elle, a son prédateur. Je suis leur prédateur.
Mais vous n'avez plus de balles.
Oui, mais eux ne le savent pas.
Look, it's an entire series of films. OSS 117. Look it up. Don't tell me it can't be done. The French did it. The French of all people already did comedy. It's a comedy. They're leaning into sexism in OSS 117. So check out those movies.
But they're French. Not just turn Bond into a comedy. It's not. He's not going to become Austin Powers. He's not going to become the original Casino Royale. That's the problem. You know, what we need is a serious Bond that still has all this. Because once you go comedy, French, you don't take him serious anymore.
And the French aren't afraid of being sexist. Everyone in North America,
yes,
we're afraid of offending everybody.
Yeah.
I think I just don't think right now a character like James Bond is something that a studio is willing to bank on. I don't think they're willing to go all in on it, which means that they're going to fuck it up. They're going to add stupid things to it. They're going to make him a wimp. He's going to be, partner with a smarter woman. You guys are putting a lot of faith in Amazon, man. I'm saying no. I'm saying leave Bond where he is at this point.
So here's the question: When does James Bond go to public domain?
Right. Oh, it's going to be
that's a great question.
A couple more decades, but
1961 was when the books were written.
Speaking of comedy, some of us got to see The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. I happened to like it. Alan did not. That's fine. But there was the legendary Coyote versus Acme movie, and now it's been saved by Ketchup Entertainment, the company that put out The Day the Earth Blew Up. From the Hollywood Reporter, if you would read this story, Badger, give it to me.
After Warner Brothers controversially canceled Coyote versus Acme for a tax write-off, sparking industry outrage, Ketchup Entertainment has officially acquired the film and will bring it to theaters. The live-action animated hybrid starring Will Forte and John Cena and an animated Wile E. Coyote follows the classic Looney Tunes character as he sues the Acme Corporation over its defective products. Initially scrapped, the film became a hot topic in Hollywood, with filmmakers protesting Warner Brothers' decision. Eventually, the studio reversed course, allowing director Dave Green to shop the film, leading to Ketchup's acquisition. With a $70 million budget and backing from producers Chris Defaria and James Gunn, Coyote versus Acme will now have the theatrical release fans demanded.
Wow, good.
This and the cancellation of Batgirl were like the first things we heard from Zaslav when he took over.
Yeah. What do we think about this?
I think this is good. I think it's great.
I'm going. I want to see what this is all about. It could, in fact, be even better than Day the Earth Blew Up.
Fun premise.
Yeah. What do you think, everybody?
I mean, ultimately, why did they cancel it in the first place? Because you don't cancel something that's good. You know, they must have seen something.
Well,
because if you have an asset that
but they also released Brave New World.
If you have an asset out there that you could just throw out into the market and make money, you do that. So you know, as much as you know, if I believe the hype behind this movie, I'm excited. But deep down, there's something got to be wrong with this movie.
I think they're over Looney Tunes.
Do you think it might be like some of the
Asian
humor?
characters? Yes.
No, but like some of the humor, like we just talked about James Bond, it being difficult to make a modern James Bond. Can you look, I loved Looney Tunes as a kid. Loved it. I watched it. I did not like Mickey Mouse. I thought Mickey Mouse was milquetoast. Disney characters were fine, I thought, for little kids, but I loved Saturday morning. The Bugs Bunny show was amazing, and I loved it, but it's violent with guns and characters trying to kill each other and like explosives, dynamite and is that a problem? I mean, think about it. Like, could you make the Three Stooges today?
Well, the first question I ask is, who is this movie
violent.
for, right? Like, who's this movie for? Is it for kids or is it for adults? And if it's for adults, then, you know, I don't know. I can see for a studio where this movie might be a problem financially as far as who to market it to. Because technically you are using cartoon characters, but you're going after adults. So it has to be pretty humorous or rated R. But if it's not going to be that and you're trying to get it towards kids, but it's all taking place within the courtroom, I don't know. It seems like it's like kind of problematic for a studio. I mean,
think of it this way: if Coyote versus Acme was similar to The Day the Earth Blew Up, then they should have released it because it's the exact same movie. What made them believe in that movie and not this one?
Yeah, I'm more inclined to agree with Alan on this. Like, I think there's something we're not seeing.
I don't know. I think that they're I mean, look at what they did with Velma. They completely erased everything about Scooby-Doo, right? And changed it completely. And I'm sure that this movie leaned into the legacy of Looney Tunes being the humor being derived from the violence. It is cartoon violence, right?
Sure, but who's it for?
Giant mallets. I don't know. I grew up on Looney Tunes. It's for me. It's for everybody, for kids and whatever. Are they afraid that maybe kids will be influenced by this?
Yeah. I mean, also, who was it that said that this was a great movie? It was the people who made the movie.
Well, that's true. Actually, you're right.
I mean, the people who made Batgirl thought it was a great movie. I mean,
yeah, but look, I still think I would like to see it if it's at least kind of on the lines, along the lines of The Day the Earth Blew Up. There's something about Warner Brothers, like they're embarrassed of their past characters. Like they can't. How do you make a modern like Bugs Bunny? You know, I think you just make it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. I hope the reason they shelved it was because it was too too dangerous for children to watch.
Yeah.
That would be the great reason to then bring it back.
Well, how did Space Jam 2 do in the box office?
Not great, but it was the pandemic, and you could blame that.
And it was LeBron James.
And LeBron James, who I don't.
He's
I'm
no
not a
Michael
fan.
Jordan.
I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
They can't do Looney Tunes anymore because Vaudeville's gone. Almost all their gags came from vaudeville.
Yeah.
Well, the day the Earth blew up, I think, kind of brought it back. There were other problems I had with it, but at least you had the slapstick. You had people.
Pinky and the Brain was fantastic.
Yeah,
and so were the Animaniacs.
And the Brain, I think. Yeah,
and the Animaniacs. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to see it regardless, just because I'm morbidly curious. So I'm definitely going to watch it. But I think this is going to be a weird one. I think it's going to be. It's going. You know what? If this movie succeeds, it's going to be a lot of word of mouth.
All right, let's go to comments, and I'm going to take a quick break. So, Alan, if you would take over, I'll be right back.
Okay. Ryan White for 5. It's a crime that none of you guys review Invincible. Season 3 is one of the highest rated things ever made in history, with a 9.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
It should be very happy for it.
And that's on Amazon.
Yeah.
Of all
places.
But
how much involvement does Amazon have in it?
Man? No, I'm just saying Amazon.
No, you're right. I mean, it is. I'm not. Look, they got 1 or 2 good things on Amazon. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't trust Amazon to make James Bond.
Now, isn't the Terminal List on Amazon?
Yeah. Reacher and Fallout and Jack Ryan and a couple other things, but there's also some bad stuff. So I get what Dante's saying.
And free shipping.
Yeah. But Jennifer Salke being gone and that position being eliminated, that is a sea change.
Hey, maybe they'll do Conan. Maybe they'll bring Conan.
Yeah. Back. Chicago Fog for $9.99. I wonder if Helen realizes that some of those courageous women in espionage had to be honey trapped.
Well, that's what I said.
No, you were correct. Yeah. Honey pot traps for sure.
And there's lots of homosexual trapping too.
Mm-hmm. All heroes, one and all. Zeitgeist Ruminator for 5. I bet Sydney Sweeney would be up for playing a Bond girl.
Yeah, if Denise Richards could do it, why not Sydney Sweeney?
Christmas.
Love to see Sydney Sweeney as a Bond girl. Holy wow.
You know what?
Or a Jedi or anything.
What would Sydney Sweeney's Bond girl name?
I knew you asked that.
What would be her? Would it be like something with the word globe in it?
Areola. Her name would be Areola.
Yeah.
If they brought the first guy to play a woman, it would be Transpire.
Oh my God. There's already been a Transpire.
We'll call her Jugs McGee.
Michael for 5. Who is the Coyote movie 4? I recommend a lot of the 420 shows for this one. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Kate C, aka Snake Plush Kitten for 10. I have to agree. There must be a valid reason to shelve it. Studio execs opposed after they did like Blazing Saddles. Oh, after they did like Blazing Saddles. Remember that was a flop. Was Blazing Saddles a flop when it came out?
Look it up.
I mean, it wasn't like a box office hit.
Very few comedies are hits, actually. To tell you,
in first run, they're not hits.
First run,
and then they endure.
DVD,
like Austin Powers DVDs that made it popular.
Yeah, but we don't have that.
Exactly.
We don't have DVDs anymore.
No.
Oh, I do.
Larry for 2. Dante is wrong about Bond and Looney Tunes. Awful.
Okay,
awful, Dante.
You keep putting your faith. You put your faith in Jeff Bezos. Go ahead.
Okay.
Joe Not a Fed for 2. High pucker factor with ugly stepsister. Yeah, indeed, a high pucker factor.
We have a new topic rolling in here. Just give me a second here. I gotta set this up.
I have 2 screenplays and a sitcom out there trying to sell it. So listen, I'm trying to do the comedy bit for all you guys, for all of us. I'm trying my best.
Well, we need to answer the question. What would Sydney Sweeney's Bond girl name be?
Make a poll.
We've got suggestions in the chat. Badger, I'm going to make you read these and then let us know what your favorite is. But we've got some suggestions here.
Chesty Helper.
D Cups.
Nice.
I like that.
Miss Jugs.
That's 2 on the nose.
Low hanging fruit.
Melon Mayhem.
Or Melanie, man.
Betty Betty Busty.
That's a stripper name.
Yeah. Double DD. Ooh, Misty Canyons. Now that is nice.
I like that one.
I like that
one. Misty Canyons.
Misty Canyons.
Already has
Misty Canyons is a good one though.
Yeah.
Goldie Globes.
I like Goldie Globes.
A lot of booba. Yeah, I mean a lot of Misty Canyons might actually be done in a movie. That sounds Areola Melons. Tawny Peaks.
Okay.
Glory Globes. Melanie Knockers. Yeah. Ariana Tinsafloppin. Swedish name, I think.
The Russian one.
Yes. Mommy Knockers or Mammy Knockers, excuse me. Mammy. Andrew Cramforton. I would love to see another comedy like Airplane again. Yeah. Do you speak jive, Paul?
Me?
Thank you.
I don't.
I really think Misty Canyons.
That's the best one, dude. Yeah.
That sounds like a real name.
Yeah.
Sounds like a real name. All right.
It could be a Melanie Motorboat.
Melanie Motorboat. All right. How we Alan and I are headed to Janie Jiggles. Okay,
these are good.
Alan and I are headed to Las Vegas this week for CinemaCon.
Wow.
To cover that. And well, there are big questions that must be answered. A lot of those center around how to save movie theaters. One way to save movie theaters is make better movies that people want to go see. I would say lower ticket prices, but from variety, from cleaner bathrooms to fewer trailers. I actually like a lot of trailers.
Yeah, me too.
Because I know I can show up late or I've got more time at the refreshment stand. 5 movie theater owners on ways to bring audiences back to cinemas. One of the big suggestions I made years ago was serve alcohol at movie theaters. Now they all do it. Mm-hmm. So that was smart. And I do miss the ArcLight. They had the ArcLight bar. You could go there, have a decent meal. The food was good. They had movie themed drinks for every movie that came out.
Yep.
And you'd meet there, have a quick bite, dinner, grab your drinks, take them in the theater. I love it. But from Variety, if you would give us the highlights of this story.
The future of movie theaters remains uncertain as the industry struggles to regain stability post-pandemic and post-strikes. While past blockbusters like Barbenheimer and Top Gun Maverick prove the power of the big screen, inconsistent box office performance has raised concerns. Theater executives remain hopeful, banking on a strong summer slate with films like Superman, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, and Avatar, Fire and Ash to revive attendance. Industry leaders emphasize the importance of high-quality concessions, premium experiences, and strategic release windows to keep audiences engaged. Some theaters have adapted by expanding offerings such as restaurants and arcades, while others lean on classic film screenings to stay afloat. Predictions for 2025's biggest hits vary, with contenders like Avatar 3, Jurassic World Rebirth, and Wicked for Good leading the conversation. Despite economic challenges, cinema owners are optimistic that 2025 will mark a turning point, proving that moviegoing is more than just an occasional event. It's an experience worth preserving.
That's all. That's all from
look, what are your thoughts? Look, they're serving booze. They're doing popcorn buckets. One thing they haven't done, lowered prices.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Lowered prices. It was like Quentin Tarantino has talked about this. The movies, look, going to the theater, Broadway, is expensive. Going to concerts is really expensive now to go to a concert. But the movies was a blue collar medium. The movies was even the heroes and the subjects of movies were blue collar people. Lower the prices, people will show up. Make it cheap for a family to go. Like,
okay, so I'm looking at this article, and it's actually an interview with the CEO of Regal Theaters, and they ask him that very question: is cost a factor in going to the movie? His answer was, Tuesdays are discount days, and Tuesdays perform a lot better than Monday or Wednesdays. People are telling you, I appreciate when it's cheaper.
Yeah.
You know why? And I think especially because of the fact that, again, you know, the other thing we're not talking about is these movies are out for what, 6 weeks or 5 weeks, and then they're on streaming.
yeah.
So why am I going to go out and drop $100, right? If I take a date, if I buy popcorn and soda and all that good stuff, I'm dropping about $100 when I could just wait a couple of weeks and it's on stream.
Den of Thieves on Netflix already.
Especially for families. Especially for families.
A ticket should not be more than $7.
Yeah, look, I grew up. I was very fortunate. I grew up in Royal Oak, Michigan, walking distance from the Berkeley Theater. And the Berkeley was a second-run theater. So if it was too expensive to go see a movie in first run, I could go to the Berkeley and I could see a movie for $1. And I could get a box of popcorn for 50 cents. Now that does sound like old man screaming back in my day, but I'm telling you that the second run theaters are irrelevant now with streaming and even pirated films online,
4K
and all of that. It's like they've made the business of second run irrelevant. So it's sad to see. It's really, I feel like all the wounds of the entertainment industry, everything is self-inflicted. But those days of dollar theaters, I saw Star Wars 7 times the summer it came out. I saw Jaws 5 times. I saw The Empire Strikes Back 10 times because I saw it at the bigger theaters first and paid $3 or $5 or whatever it was. But then eventually when it went to the dollar theater, it was fun to just walk to the theater and pay $1 to see it on the big
dollar theaters.
There is one in Pasadena. That is a second run theater.
Yeah, it's called the Academy. It's a really bad theater, but
the
it's
theater's
cheap.
not great, but you can get
It's cheap.
They do a special where you can get, it's like $5 for a hot dog, popcorn, and a movie.
They call it date night. It's a date night special, and they drop the prices on everything. It's cool if you're already dating somebody, but never take a girl there on the first date, guys.
Back in the dollar theaters, like we used to have one here, and they converted it to just a regular theater. But theaters, I mean, ticket prices combined with bad movies from Hollywood, combined with these movies are only going to be in the theater for a certain amount of time before they're on streaming, so I might as well just wait until I can watch it from the comfort of my own home. All of that is like working against theaters. I love going to the movies. Like, it doesn't matter what I'm watching. I love going to the movies. And I used to go almost every weekend until it just, one, they're not putting out good content, so I don't want to go and watch it. And two, now it's really expensive. So I'm not going every weekend like I used to. I used to go to almost every single movie release. But the fact that they're not putting out good movies, and still expecting people to show up. Yes, I love the movie going experience, but if I'm going there to watch something that's going to end up, preaching to me, I don't want to waste my money on that. And also the fact that they're not catering to their audiences anymore. What happened to romantic comedies? They're not putting those out, and they're not catering to. It's funny that they bring up Barbie and Top Gun Maverick, right? Those were gender specific. Barbie was for the girls, and the women showed up because we haven't had movies like that are catered to women in quite a while. The ones that are catered to us are girl boss movies, and we don't really want to watch those types of movies. Top Gun Maverick was American, it was good, it was masculine, and so people showed up to that movie. They don't make those types of movies anymore. When they it's very rare, but people will show up to those.
Hollywood cranked out comedies and also tons of romantic comedies like Teacher's Pet, Bringing Up Baby, things like that. That was a staple. You wanted to see your favorite movie stars paired up and have a good roaring time in the screens. Now, the one thing I wanted to add in my time, okay, I'm going to top Chris with old man talk.
Please.
Is that every Saturday, they had something that was more akin to a babysitting event without actually really calling it that. Every Saturday, 25 cents, we could watch 3 movies. And the parents knew when they sent all of us there, the ushers knew how to handle the kids. We were properly managed. It was a safe environment. And we were gone all Saturday morning, and the parents loved it.
They could finally have sex.
That too.
Without embarrassing you.
That too. Although they would usually do it before I left for the cinema.
Oh, Jesus.
That's why you're so funny.
That's right.
I think first of all, I agree with Steph. I love going to the movies. Every Thursday night, I'll see at least one film, if not 2 or 3 some days. And I'm at the movie theater.
I don't know how you do it.
3 days or more a week. In addition to watching screeners. And Alan is the same, right? Alan, that's
Pretty
about
much.
the same. That's the same
Not as
for
much
you.
as you, but definitely.
Yeah. But look, I love the experience, but I'll tell you, between the cost and really, but I'm not a normal moviegoer. I go a lot, and I'll take a risk on a movie like, say, Bob Trevino Likes It, which is my favorite film.
But you also have the A-list, Chris, and things like that, where
that's what I'm
you
saying.
can watch unlimited movies for a set price.
Yeah,
I get my
is a
value.
tax.
I get the value out of A-list because it's $25 a month, and I see 3 movies a week, right? Most people that have A-list probably see a couple movies a month. Do they feel they get the most out of it? I get a lot out of it. I don't think I'm normal, though. I'm not a normal.
Let's be real. For Chris and I, it's a tax
not
deduction too.
Well, it's also
yeah.
that. It's also that. But I think
you know what?
let me finish, Dante. One last thing.
Yeah.
I think the theaters are doing everything they can. They've changed the pricing model. Even at $25, that's the cost of going to one IMAX movie. Just get A-list, see one movie a week, pays for itself. Second thing, they're serving booze. Costs about the same as a bar. It's fine. Then they've got your popcorn buckets and collectibles. The AMC lobby is now like movie merch, right? I have no problems with any of that. The theater owners are doing everything they can to save the business. What's not being done?
Movies.
Making better movies.
Correct.
Yep.
Where you could see a comedy, there was a horror and a drama, a romantic comedy. They had all in a given week. You'd have one of every type of thing. Some would be good, some would be bad, whatever, but you take a risk. There would even be, genres are dying, right? The teen sex comedy. Whatever happened to that? Alan, explain it.
American Pie.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that was a tried and true genre, and they've killed those genres. Sorry, Dante.
I was going to just slightly piggyback. I'm going to go a step further and say I don't think you can save it. I don't think you can save the movie theaters at this point, man. And the reason why I say that is even if they start making better movies all of a sudden, they have already programmed us to wait a few weeks and we could watch it for what, $10 a month?
They have to change that.
But you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Streaming is here.
No, you just say that streaming is going to be 6 months out.
Yeah.
You make
Yeah.
better.
I mean, it's easy.
Do you think they're really going to do that though?
So I got a question to the panel. If A Fish Called Wanda was made now, would you go see it?
Yeah.
Depending on who's
seen it. So
depending on who's in it, but that brings up another point, Paul. Who are the stars? What star would get you to see a movie if you didn't care what the movie was, but you like that actor? Like, I'll go see a Tom Cruise movie just because he's in it. But now even he has to be attached to an IP. Let me share something real quick that relates to this from David Poland's The Hot Button, which is on Substack. This is an article, 5 Steps to Streaming's Future. If you would read this, Badger, he outlines 5 things. We'll just talk about these real quick.
Trying to keep this super simple, maybe a little too simple. 1, the $40 cable bundle. 2, increase the amount of consistent daily/weekly content on each streamer. 3, more programs with new content at least 20 weeks a year. 4, avoid structuring sports rights to overseas consumers. And 5, government cap on high quality internet pricing.
I don't know how possible that is. I think that streaming is a mess for most people. I think they it's become more costly than cable was, right? It's just gotten to that point. It's more costly.
See, okay, so my question, like, is there a star right now in Hollywood, one star that you couldn't wait 4 weeks for to watch on stream?
That's what you're right. You asking that question, I'll say I can't think of one.
See, that's the real question. Can you wait 4 weeks to watch this star?
You? Like,
but a property, there's some properties I would not want to wait, but they're not being done.
Well, let me just say this. Let's say this. If you told me Dave Chappelle was in a comedy, let's say a Blazing Saddles 2, I would run to the theater to see that.
Sure. If it were Dave Chappelle, I would be their opening weekend, right? So he's one guy I would go see. How many people are like that right now in Hollywood? That you
Keanu Reeves,
you're right.
Not many.
That's why they spend so much money on IPs.
And there are people
that's why they're so invested in Minecraft movie this weekend.
Well, I'm going to watch that with my son. And at one point, there were people who are no longer like that. For instance, Tom Hanks, the bloom has fallen off that rose. And I like the man. Like, that's gone. I used to go see every Tom Hanks movie. And you were talking about romantic comedies. I mean, we don't see the movie like Big.
Yes.
We're just not seeing anything like that. The Rob Reiner string of brilliant movies.
Well, they're all aging out. Like, even George Clooney said he's not going to do romantic comedies anymore because he said he was 63 and no one wants to see that. Like,
that's fair.
Who's the
Hollywood didn't want to make that because they don't want to show women falling in love with men anymore, which is
why is that? Why do you think? Are you embarrassed by that? Because there was a survey that said younger people, if I can call you that, I hope I'm not insulting you, that they're embarrassed by the faux sex on movies.
But that's not romance. Sex is not romance.
That's not romance. That's sex. Like
romance.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know the difference.
Well, I mean, they watch Euphoria, White Lotus, and shit.
How do you define a great movie to you personally? It's a movie that has.
If I can stick my dick in her mouth, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Jesus,
that's romantic.
That's romantic, isn't that romantic? Sorry.
Yeah, a great movie in our minds is a movie that we can connect with emotionally.
Yeah,
and by emotionally, it conjures some kind of an emotion that we could connect with, whether it's fear, happiness, and romance and love. Love is a powerful emotion. And if you can tap into a love story that connects with the audience, you are going to have a great movie. It's just we don't know what love is anymore.
And guess what? You know what Disney's Snow White did not have?
It's so forced too when they try to. The love.
They did not have a great love story.
Yeah.
You can tell it was
let's talk about that. The prince awakens her with a kiss and
on the chin.
And the first thing Snow White does is talk about her dead dad.
As you do.
Well, because that was it.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, because like that was it. After he kissed her, their love story was over. Like now she can get back to what her real love is conquering her kingdom.
Yep.
You know what?
It was literally in there just so Disney could say like, okay, check. We had her get kissed by the prince, and now I'm sorry, not the prince, the thief. So now people can say that we didn't include it. So it's just a checkbox for them to include in the movie. You can tell it was shoehorned in there.
Yeah, I just think it was, bring it back to Boyega from earlier. The thing that Force Awakens was missing was romance. I mean, the romance in the Star Wars films has been very sanitized, fairy tale. In Empire Strikes Back, the romance was like an old classic Hollywood movie with Bogart or something. The rivalry with Princess Leia and Han Solo, like they're sort of going at each other, but they like each other. That was missing from the Star Wars movie. The whole series of Star Wars was launched with a guy, a farm boy, who saw an internet video through a robot of a girl he thought was hot, and he went to save her. Well, it ended up being his sister. He didn't know it then. The point is, it started from a romantic place. I want to rescue the princess. That's a classic fairy tale trope, and they can't even make that right now. Why do you think Disney Snow White deserved to fail? Not just because of Zegler and her horrific comments toward people and what she said about not only the legacy of Disney and Snow White, but about half of America. It was a bad movie. So
maybe Superman will do good because apparently it's got a solid love story between Rachel Brosnahan and David Cornsweet.
I want to know, in Snow White, did one of them get kissed on the forehead? Because that's the modern trope.
Did foreheads touch?
No, it was on the chin this time.
The forehead touching. Sorry, Alan is correct. The forehead.
I want to do something on the show because I have some news.
Okay.
I would like to just tell you what I know. So let me get all of that out, and then we can talk about it on the other side and get comments from everyone here. And that is, there was a test screening of Superman last week, and I know someone who was there. It took place on the Warner's lot. It was Wednesday, March 26th in the afternoon. About 60 people showed up to the lot to see a test screening of a movie. They did not know it was Superman. Peter Safran and James Gunn were in the audience. It was at the Stephen J. Ross Theater on the Warner lot. Everyone was heavily vetted to see the movie, and they got to see Superman. It is the what they saw was unfinished. Some of the effects with the kaiju fight, unfinished. There was also the titles were not completely finished. I'll tell you the bullet points of what I know, but I will not tell you spoilers, and I know them, a lot of them. Here's what I know. The running time surprised me. The film is 1 hour and 55 minutes, so just under 2 hours. Again, not complete. It was reported earlier that the movie was over 2 hours and 20 minutes. This cut that was shown to civilians, right? This was people that were, recruited to come to test screening, saw 1 hour and 55 cut of the film. We know about Bradley Cooper playing Jor-El. That came out. Additionally, the performance of David Cornsweet, he is truly Superman, from what I was told. He really is just from a heart, everything. He gave a great performance. There is also Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor is chilling. People will die as a result of Lex Luthor's actions.
He's evil.
He is pure evil in this movie. Again, the effects were unfinished. I was also told that while people have been concerned about there's too much in this movie, the JLI, Justice League International, Guy Gardner, whatnot, these side characters, they're not as big a part of the movie as you might glean from the trailer that we've seen. Also, we've barely seen anything about what the story is. I actually know what the story is. I will not tell you. I don't think it's fair.
I agree.
I don't think it's fair. I'm not going to do that. What happened at the end of the screening, 2 last points I'll make. When the screening ended, it was wildly positive response from the people that were there. And someone screamed, Fantastic Four is fucked at the screening. After James Gunn and Peter Safran were overheard to be talking about the way they're promoting this, the way this film will be promoted will be big. They will do for this movie what they did for the promotion of Barbie. It will be huge promotion for this film. I know a lot more specifics. I don't want to say what they are, but I'll just say my faith is renewed. I think we haven't seen much of the film. I've been skeptical. I feel again, cautiously optimistic, but hearing this firsthand makes me excited. And I'll end with this, and we'll go with I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. James Gunn's got a pretty good track record. If you look at the Guardians movies, he was integral to the Infinity Saga, mapping that out. And you know what? The Suicide Squad, pretty good. Really pretty good. And when you look at his roots in indie film, Super is one of my all-time favorite indie superhero movies. Watch Super with Rainn Wilson. It's amazing. And one last thing I forgot to say. There a quick thing, not big spoiler, but encouraging. Jimmy Olsen in the movie apparently is hysterical. He has he has a really good character arc, and he's kind of like a Pete Davidson type, where women are always after him, but he's kind of clueless. So I love hearing this. It just, the way it was described to me is like, he's like Pete Davidson. He doesn't understand why all the girls like him. So, but it's great to see Jimmy Olsen treated with respect. That's what I know. I'm sure people will write about what I said here, which is fine. I know a lot of stuff I don't say, but I'm encouraged by what I hear. Additionally, Supergirl in the movie for a little bit. I don't want to say what I know about her character, but everything was very encouraging, including not just the reaction to the person I know who was there, but the entire audience, which was a small one. We'll leave it there and go to your comments. What do you guys think? So,
well, I'm happy to hear it. I mean, I want this movie to succeed, man. I want it to be good.
Me too.
Like, I really want it to be good. And I've always, and yeah, I was a little skeptical, but I've always erred on the side of Gunn, just because I do trust James Gunn as a filmmaker. Even though things are looking weird in the trailers and the behind the scenes, and I still wish they kind of stopped that. I wish they just lay off the behind the scenes stuff. We don't need to see anymore. But I'm really rooting for this movie. I say I'm more rooting for this movie than I am even Fantastic Four. And I want that to succeed too. But I really am hoping that James Gunn pulls this off for DC.
Right.
Yeah. I'm rooting for it too, by the way. I see McReady in the chat saying, Cope, like, bro, if you've been watching in the streams, I'm the one suggesting to all my friends melting down that if they even do this badly, it's so good that it could just be, you know what I'm saying? So if they actually treat this with respect, good. I'm glad that they liked it. We're in a place where we need clear examples of heroes and good and evil. And if Lex is all the way evil, and this is exactly what I was talking, yeah, the suit is shit. I don't like the suit, and I don't think we will. But I'm glad everything else seems to be coming around.
Yeah, I don't want to say any more, but I do know quite a bit more, including story elements. And
I will beg you after the stream.
It really sounds epic. So I'm but from the way they've been promoting it, that's what gave me pause. It feels like Gunn has been promoting Superman like he treats his own personal social media. You need a coordinated campaign. Now, maybe it's because they don't really have much, so he's going this route, but comparing it to the level Warner's promoting this like Barbie, that big of a promotion, like it hasn't kicked in yet, is what I'm saying. So there you go.
From a image management perspective, the Fantastic Four looked more coherent than what we've seen so far from Superman.
Right.
If those individuals, those characters that we saw are not going to be integral to the movie, I would have rather have not seen them. I think it just took us down a trail that made us skeptical, and I don't see the point in making the public skeptical.
Paul, would it make sense to you that apparently we heard that Safran asked James to include those characters so they could be introduced for later properties? Specifically asked.
What I was told, they're not as big a part of the movie as you might think from the trailer. That's what I was told.
Meaning they're just there so that we can see that they are in the world.
They're there because that's the world that Superman has entered in, and he's only been Superman for a couple years.
But Batman's been there for 10 years, right? So it's established.
Yeah, I don't want to say anymore. Like I'm dancing.
Don't confuse
around
us.
stuff.
I think the stuff that they've been putting out right so far has confused
You're
the
absolutely
population.
right,
and I don't see
100%.
why they did that.
You are
I
right. You are
agree.
correct.
I agree. If they don't play a huge role, then surprise us in the theater. Let us be surprised as opposed to showing us in the trailer. Look, I'm a huge DC fan, and I'm really hoping that this is good. The fact that Lex Luthor is going to be evil, an evil villain, we're getting a villain versus a hero. I'm all for that. I really want DC to come back. I'm really rooting for this movie. I've been incredibly skeptical just because of the mess that DC has been in these past few years, and with all of these movies, it's been a huge mess. So I really want them to come back with a bang. I really want this movie to be good. It sounds good, but I'm still going to hold my excitement, remain a little bit reserved, but yet optimistic about this movie.
Steph, what you saw the very first Donner Star Wars? Superman, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of it?
Oh, I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the effects for that movie, I mean, they did not hold up at
No.
the time.
Oh, no. No.
Some of the model work was kind of cheesy, but that between Christopher Reeve performance, between like the score, between the way that, and the other thing is, oh God, one last thing, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, is this isn't all laughs. Humor is in the movie, but the movie knows when to not be funny.
Chris, what you said was what I was hoping for.
That's actually good to hear.
Yeah, there's humor, but not to the degree we've seen in previous Gunn's work.
And that Superman,
what's that?
His Superman would be pure. Like you said, that it's Superman from the heart. You can mess up with a lot of things, but as long as you get Superman right, as long as you get Lois Lane right, as long as you get their connection, and we see Superman beating up a big monster, it's gonna make money.
Told that one dumb shot where David Cornsweet kind
Wonky eye.
That's it. You see so many other. It's barely in the movie. It's a quick moment when a lot of things are happening. So I'm encouraged, but again, I do believe the marketing is not helping it. Let's go to
especially like with that very first image that they put out,
putting on the
with
shoes,
him just putting on his boots. Yeah, the reveals so far have been really just off.
I know what that's about.
I agree with Stephanie.
I know what that's about in context.
And Gunn is not afraid. Gunn is not afraid of heating things up and adding the danger. I mean, High Evolutionary in Guardian 3 was a nasty piece of work.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that we sat there in Guardians 3 and got broken up and choked up over fake animals, digital CGI, right? Like he has the power to do that. And even like Guardians 2, not my favorite of them, but that ending, like really, he knows how to like sneak up and then he gets you in the feels. So there definitely be that will be part of Superman.
Well, as long as Bradley Cooper isn't playing Rocket in Superman, I'll be fine.
Well, he is playing Jor-El, and that already leaked out from that screening. So let's go to comments here.
Thomas Anderson for 1999. While ripping my DVD collection, I realized I missed the day when movies were not qualifier movies, but were just movies. Sadly, leftists, race baiters, and Jew haters just can't leave well enough alone. Sad.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. It's very sad.
Mr. Anderson.
Andy makes Star Wars for 5. Chris and Alan do their homework 100. Yes.
Do their homework.
You are best. I can't say I'm perfect. I get corrected in comments with some things, but I have my opinions, and there you go.
Joe not a fed for 2. Guys liked when Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle.
Those are just solid, fun
You've Got
movies
Mail.
On a Friday night.
Mail is so good, yeah.
The Proposal.
What movie out now would you take a date? You want to see a romantic movie because it's like, hey, that could be us, right?
Dave.
You see yourself, like what?
Go see Dave.
Dave, is it out
great
now?
movie.
No, it's an old
Biden,
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying
I thought
a movie out now that you would take.
Now.
Sigourney Weaver? No.
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver was great.
There isn't one.
No, there's not one.
And the name of all that is holy, hashtag cancel Disney Plus. Thank you, Redwood.
Thank you.
Joe not a fed for 2. Star Wars was the first stepsister prawn. Yeah. Accidentally. Andrew Cram for 5. So the marketing is simply not good for Superman, but the film could be good, cool. But Chris said they're going to ramp it up.
Yeah, this is you've been shown very little.
Quick question, because someone mentioned it in chat. I think it was Escapo. Is it patriotic at all?
Yes, it is. And there's an American flag. Yeah, it is. I asked that same question. So
yeah, suck it the rest of the world.
Yeah.
The Rumble rant here from Acme 42 for 10. They might be able to do a decent remake of Cinderfella. It's an old Jerry Lewis comedy that swaps the roles of the prince and princess.
And that was a modern time film.
I remember. I know that movie. My grandma showed it to me. I loved it.
Aw.
It's fun. All right. We're going to wrap it up. Leave it there today. Alan and I will be driving to Vegas tomorrow. We will do a road stream as long as internet holds out. We'll do our best.
Which one's the John Candy character?
Hopefully Lori can help us with chat. If she can't, we'll figure it out. Our stream on Wednesday, normally Hollywood on the Rocks, that will be later in the night, and I don't even know when that will be. But Alan and I will be back in our hotel room. It'll be a Film Threat After Dark screening or a stream. So look for that. And then we will be back on Friday where we will talk about Minecraft. Get ready for Minecraft. I'm
watching it.
We might have to see Minecraft in Vegas, Alan.
We are. I think that's the plan.
Yay!
Right after the Disney presentation, we're seeing Minecraft.
Lots of fun. So that's wrapping it up for us. Hey, everybody, plug your channel. And then we'll be back a week from today with Versus. Plug your channel. Badger.
Badger Cast coming up right now, 3:30. So like 30 minutes. Yeah, check us out. Talk about all the things.
All right.
My Nerdy Home on YouTube. I have 3 videos coming out this week, so go and subscribe if you like.
Yeah, Verbal Riot on YouTube, Rumble, and X, and I have a couple of videos coming out this week. I'll also be hanging out with George from George and the Giant Slayer on Wednesdays, and you can always catch me Saturday nights on Yellow Flash.
You can catch me on Call Me Chato. A new video was released today, and you can also catch me on Appalling News, APAULING News, and a new one also dropped today. Lots of appalling news.
Yeah, Alan, I have 88 more followers till I hit 10,000 at my pal Al. It's in the corner there. 88.
Yes.
88.
Yes.
Come on, let's do this.
Follow Alan on X, and also want to thank the Nico. I gotta get this right. The Nico Machian has become a YouTube member. Thank you, Nico Machine. Nico Machine. Nico Machine.
That's so easy, is it?
What are the different ways
I
to
don't
pronounce
know.
it? Thank you. Thank you for being a member. Thank you to our mod, Lord Thoth. Awesome mod. Thank you to Atomic Lori. She looks bored in the background, but I know she loves the show, and we appreciate her.
What does mine do that?
Look for Alan and I tomorrow, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Alan, did I forget anything?
Man to woman, woman to man, penis to vagina.
Penis to vagina?
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 Alan?
Penis to vagina.
Alan,
good.
thanks for the super sticker. Alan?
Saucy.
What? Oh, let's get out of here.
Yeah.